Hey, what's up, folks? Realtor Corsair. So today I want to talk about a few things. First off, I want to go over the numbers. I want to show you that I'm seeing home values continue to increase. I also want to talk about how contingent buyers are playing a really big role in today's market. And I also want to talk about how, the media is been really good. I've been really surprised lately what I've been seeing in the media. But I also want to talk about something where you can use numbers that are technically accurate, but you can really skew them in a way to kind of make people believe a certain narrative with what the housing market is doing. So, first off, let's go over the actual market. So, last month I put out a video, and I think I'm gonna start doing this at least once a month, where we're just kind of showing you what the numbers are doing, just so you can kind of get an idea of what the market is doing. I'm not gonna go into a deep dive, but what I want to do is just kind of skim the top, give you a good idea of what the overall market is doing. So let's scoot to the side here so I can show you these graphs. Now, if you remember the video from last month, I talked about how the home values in Fort Worth and Keller, and I went over the reasons why I'm using those two cities. But let's look at Keller real quick. So in Keller, you can see the overall trend. It's a little up, little down, little up, little down. And you can see July to August. Now the number is a little bit less. In July, the median sold price was right at about 760, so 759. And this month, or in August rather, the median sold price was 687,250. Now I don't want to focus too much on those numbers because there just might have been a few homes that were listed that were at a little bit lower price. Maybe there last month, there were a few homes that were much larger and they sold for a higher price. So I don't want to look at the numbers specifically. I just want to look at the overall trend. I also want to pay attention to that list versus sold price. And you can see if you look from previous months, it's really starting to shrink. And if you look from last year, it's really shrink. So the values are still continuing to go up, but that crazy frenziness is definitely subsiding. So that's Keller. I kind of lost this. Let's move back to the side here. And then Fort Worth real quick. So let's take a look at Fort Worth. So in August, we saw a pretty massive jump from July. So in July, the median sold price was 383. And in August, the median sold price was 450. But if you take a look at that list price, it's pretty damn close to the average or the median sold price. So once again, we're continuing to see numbers in the homes or home values increase. Now, I want to dive in real quick, not into the order I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but that was what I'm seeing the market. The values are still continuing to increase. We're not going to see that large year over year appreciation like we saw last year. So I definitely think everybody's on board with that. Now I want to talk about the news and the different media outlets. And I've been really surprised. I've been starting to hear, like CNBC, even CNN, Fox News, all the different news outlets. It's been very refreshing because they're actually saying basically what I just said. They're saying, hey, overall, we're seeing most good markets. The values are continuing to increase or at least plateau. But a lot of them are saying we don't really know what's going on with the market, which is so refreshing because nobody really knows what's going on in the market. A lot of people thought the market would crash. Somehow we're seeing it sustain. Even with the interest rates going up, I mean, it's been very interesting to be a part of this market and actually see how things are going. But I wanted to mention real quick, when you're watching these different news outlets or anybody talk about, home values, I want you to be real careful when you listen, because if I use the average versus the median. So real quick, let's take a look at Keller. So in Keller, the average list price was $779,422. But the average sold was $767,391. But then if you scoot right over and you look at the median values, well, it paints a different picture because your median list is 677 and your median sold is 687,250. So once again, both of those numbers are accurate numbers, but depending on how I want to use those, I can support a different narrative. Personally, I always like to go off the medians because it kind of takes out some of those outliers. But I notice sometimes news outlets will use whichever one kind of fits their narrative. So just be careful of that whenever you're trying to gather information about the market. Now, the other thing I mentioned is about the contingent buyers. Now, I talked about this in the beginning of the year, and I definitely didn't think it would happen in 2022. I really thought it was going to happen more towards the beginning or the middle of 2023. With that being said, though, everything's been happening a lot faster than I thought and a lot of people thought. And I think the market has definitely slowed down to a point where contingency buyers are able to actually be a true contender when they're submitting their offers, because the market is slowing down. You're seeing homes sit for a few weeks. Some of them are even sitting for a month to a month and a half, even 2 months. But the really nice homes are still selling fast. The really nice homes are still getting multiple offers. And if you're a buyer that's, let's say you're selling a $300,000 to $400,000 home, and you're wanting to move up to, let's say, a $500,000 to $600,000 home, there's a really good possibility that your offer is going to get accepted, because a lot of those homes in that $300,000 to $400,000 range are still selling very, very fast. And even like I have some folks right now where they're a contingent buyer, their home will probably sell for around the $700,000 range, but it's a really nice home. It's got some nice updates. It's got a 3-car garage with a pool, and in that neighborhood that home is in, average days on market for that kind of property is still, it's like 3 or 4 days. So they're going to be a very powerful contingent buyer, still weak in the nature that they're a contingent buyer, but much stronger than they were last year, and really even stronger than they've been in the past few years. So contingent buyers are definitely something that are helping the market, because they're able to purchase the properties, and then their properties are going on the market for other folks to buy. Now, here's the other thing that's really interesting. Inventory is really, really low, but buyer demand is still staying low. So inventory is low, buyer demand is right in level. So it's kind of interesting. We're seeing the market, even though everything's low, it's still sustaining, and we're not seeing a buildup of too many properties. So overall, I'm still holding to the fact I don't see home values decreasing anytime in the near future. I definitely think it's a good time to buy or sell, but it depends on your situation. If you have a rental property and you're just wanting to dump it because you think the market's going to crash, I don't know. That's just something you need to make that judgment call. Personally, I wouldn't sell any of my rental properties for that reason. The other aspect, if you're selling a house and you're thinking the market's going to crash soon, it just kind of depends. Maybe that'll be another video, but I don't think that is really the best reason to sell. Right now, if you're wanting to buy and upgrade, like sell your home, upgrade to a new home, I think it's a great time. If you're wanting to downsize, I think it's a great time. I don't think it's a great time to try to capitalize anything. If you're just making a move because you need to make a move, I think it's a perfect time for that. But overall, the market still is holding pretty strong. Very surprised, even with the Feds hell-bent on trying to get these interest rates up as much as possible to slow everything down. The market in at least North Texas is holding true. So that's the end of the video, folks. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, have a great day.